Hi, how are you doing today? So I apologize to the subscribers in my channel, but this is actually the second time I'm doing this video. The first one, I guess someone flagged to YouTube. I'm not sure why, but I'm doing this video again. So this is a pen with kind of an interesting story on it. It is a M205 Aquamarine. This was the limited edition in 2016, I believe. Got the flashlight there so you can kind of see the coloring on it. It's a piston. I'm not sure you can see the ink there. But quick background on what happened is I attended the pen show in Chicago this year and at auction bought a Pelikan 400, a vintage one, and see the nib there. That is a vintage nib from a Pelikan 400. I had won a Pelikan 400 in the auction, and with the auction you never really know what you're going to get until you have a chance to try and take it apart or clean it or service it. Obviously you can't do that in an auction setting, but the nib looked good, so I bid on it anyways. Obviously won it, but the piston mechanism was just completely frozen up and was not serviceable. I tried over a couple days soaking it. I sent it to another facility to try and have it pulled apart, and they couldn't do it either. And the issue with the old 400s is they are a pressure fit piston system. They are not just screw in and out, and the thing was just completely seized up. So I did have a company pull the nib and feed out. They were able to use a current model M200. You can see the metal ring there, so it's a current collar, and they were able to fit the old nib, and then you can see the old style feed as well. Let me get the flashlight for that. See the old style feed there, the ridges on it. Sorry. Alright, that's not going to work with the flashlight. Alright, try this again. See the old style feed there. So there we go. There you can see the old feed. Alright, so the nib was serviceable, the feed was serviceable, but the company did make a new collar out of a current 200 series or 400 series of the same nib size, and they were able to fit it onto a current, which is now discontinued, the Aquamarine. So I do have some Aquamarine in there. This is a fine nib. It's a little wet on paper that is a little pulpy, or isn't the greatest. I've even noticed on paper in the same ream, sometimes it's fine, sometimes it bleeds or feathers, but this is my typical standard paper. So it's smooth on this one. You might hear a little feedback, but it is completely smooth. So this is a Pelikan M205 Aquamarine with a vintage 400 fine nib. So you can see it's a great everyday writer. See, this is just some junk paper. It works just fine. It's off of a calendar, a daily calendar, but you can see no bleeding, anything like that. Not a whole lot of color variation due to it being a fine. We'll do our cross pattern there. So it does do a nice fine line, no issues with bleeding or anything like that. But just a really cool pen, kind of unique. Obviously it looks a little different because you got, being an M205, you get the silver clip and trim, but it is a gold nib. And so, if you do have an old nib, they can be fit on the current pens. They do, a collar has to be sacrificed from one of the current line pens, but I know you can pick up the steel nibs for like 20 or 30 bucks sometimes, so it's worth it. The nib from a vintage pen's worth 150, maximum 200 bucks if it's something really special. So, you know, it's definitely worth it. Um, I was able to buy the body and cap without a nib, so that was nice. So I didn't have any, you know, duplication. But yeah, it's a great little pen, kind of the smallest I will go unposted. See the color pretty good there. I really like this Aquamarine. But here it is next to 805, just for a quick comparison. You can see it is a much smaller pen. Still usable though, great everyday carry pen. Obviously piston, holds a lot of ink, easy to see, as you can see there. The 400 nib will fit just fine in that cap. Does not touch, you can see it in there. Haven't had any issues with the drying out, so you know it does form. It seems like it forms a decent seal in there, and just a great option if you got an old nib, but you know the body's cracked or it's got a piston system that's just not working anymore. So there you go. It's the Pelikan M205 Aquamarine with a vintage 400 nib. If you look at my channel, I do have a video on a 400 NN. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but those, you know, everything kind of was interchangeable during that time frame of the vintage 400s. So any questions, please comment or question below, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.